Thumbs up, thumbs down, or average their reading of the budget? Whereabouts are you, Ridhima?
Let me take that straight to our experts. Anand, we're coming to you live from our CIA studios here in the national capital. I have a stellar panel joining us. We have Sunil Mathur, MD and CEO Siemens India, Rakesh Bharti Mittal, Vice Chairman Bharti Enterprises, R Dinesh, President Designate CII and Executive Vice Chairman TVS Supply Chain Solutions. Gentlemen, thank you so much for taking our time and joining us here. What is your reading of the Union Budget 2023? How do you rate it?
Very positive, growth oriented, making sure all the sectors are covered, and equally important, not lost any of the continued benefits which the previous budgets had set in place.
How much would you give the budget?
Well, I never read the budget, but I can tell you that it's absolutely a growth-oriented budget with a very, very high focus on inclusive growth. I think that is something which I must compliment the Finance Minister. Containing the fiscal deficit as was promised in the budget and a guideline of 5.9%. But I think more importantly, 10 lakh crores for infrastructure, which is a huge upside from the 7.5 last year, 3.3% of the GDP. Agri sector, I think, is a clear focus, which I saw 20 lakh crore of credit, which will be made available. But I think more importantly, moving 1 crore farmers to natural farming, investing hugely, setting up storage facilities all across the country, which I believe will bring down the wastages and reduce the logistics cost as well. Also, if we see on the MSMEs, hand-holding, supporting them for extending the credit guarantee scheme by another year, a corpus of 6,000 crores, which will result into 2 lakh crore of credit which they can access, I think is a huge positive. And I think one of the things which the Finance Minister mentioned during the COVID, about 95% of forfeited amounts for the MSMEs will be released. Yeah. I think that will release a lot of capital and working capital for them, which is a huge positive. Sure. Clear focus on urban development, 500 blocks, aspirational blocks, where we can actually see now sustainable improvement on infrastructure, on health, on education. I think this is something which I believe is a complete focus and the passion which Prime Minister Modi drives. Yeah. And we saw that in the budget today. Also, I would say that on the 5G, it was mentioned setting up 100 labs, but clearly we are going to see 5G as a very, very strong platform to not only complement or supplement what the government is going to do, yeah, but also bring out new opportunities of business cases. Yeah. All in all, I would say I think the time has come for the private sector to unleash its animal spirits. Yeah. The government has laid down the roadmap. Yeah. It is for us now to see, yeah, that we not only drive the growth next year, but for the few next decades for India.
I think it's very well said. Time to unleash the animal spirits. It hasn't been easy. This budget was always going to be challenging, but clearly this is a budget for new India, managing the wish lists as well as keeping the global factors in mind. How impressed are you? Manufacturing is usually a theme that the industry closely watches. So how are you seeing what has been announced?
Well, I would agree with everything that Rakesh said. It's just, for this budget, I've seen a continuity in direction. I've seen a consistency in approach, and I have seen a commitment to implementation. And I think when you look at that, that is really what is required by industry to really go out and deliver. And I do believe now is the time for industry to step up to that challenge. The groundwork is in place, the intent is clear, the direction and the roadmap is laid out. And I think it is now time for industry to pick it up and run from there.
Yeah. But I also want to talk to you about the big announcement, which is, I know this is a very industry-specific panel, but for the middle class in the Aam Aadmi, the big lookout always is taxes. I mean, if you look at that announcement, the rebate has been increased to 7 lakhs. The new tax regime has been made more lucrative. How do you see that?
No, I think they are very positive because they further benefit, so to say, the domestic consumption, yeah, and allow free cash to be available for further spending. So I think it's a very smart move, and it's a combination of both, right? So you have the infrastructure spending which is taking place and the amount, the 10 lakh crores, which I think Rakesh spoke about. On top of which, if you have the free cash available for spending, I think we then have a great opportunity to continue the rate of growth. So I think it's a very welcome move, and it's been very well thought through, so that also the fact that more and more people will start adopting the new tax regime, so to say, has been thought through.
Right. One of the biggest wish lists and demands of the industry was to boost domestic growth as well as consumption, because the last 2-3 years, because of the COVID pandemic, had slowed growth as well as demand as well. With the kind of announcements that have been made, do you think that much required fillip has been given and the road has been set for years to come for us to become the $1 trillion economy that we dream of?
Certainly, yes. I think clearly, if we see by the tax benefits which have been given, some of the investment schemes into savings for senior citizens, a woman or a girl up to a limit of 2 lakh with 7.5% interest rate per year, fixed rate interest rate. And this is something which will bring more cash in hand, and that will spur domestic demand and consumption. I think we are hovering at around 60% consumption at this point of time, which will only move further. Also, I believe with the focus talking about tourism in a mission mode, and more importantly, bringing public-private partnerships in there. 47 lakh youth will get direct benefit transfer to get skilled. I think these are all, to my mind, leading towards consumption growth. I mean, it's not only domestic tourism we are looking at, international tourism will come. So, I mean, number of airports which have come up, and 50 additional airports, heliports will be revived. Today you see, you don't get a seat on an airplane, and you can reach out to tier 2, tier 3 cities, which were hard to reach earlier. So I believe all this will also bring out two big opportunities. Given the outstanding medical facilities, healthcare facilities and doctors we have, medical tourism, and the focus on religious places. Yeah. Religious tourism is something we must focus on, and that will bring a lot of international tourists into the country.
Right. Lastly, sir, I quickly want to understand, again from an industry perspective, we've spoken about what works in the budget. What else would you have wanted to hear from the finance minister?
Well, there's always a wish list out there, and I think it's very difficult to balance the two over there. But I think there's a lot more that can be done on the renewable space. Already there is a lot that has been announced, but the journey is a long one, and a lot more needs to be done on the infrastructure side as well. I welcome very much the railways, the outlay in the railways. I think that will be a fillip to the economy, hugely there. Airports, of course. But I think the entire connectivity that the country needs to bring down logistic costs, to actually do this in a green manner. This is going to take time. The first steps are in place, but there's a long way ahead of us.
Okay, so baby steps have been taken, but there is a long way ahead. But it's overall a thumbs up, Anand, from these experts here at CII. Back to you in the
We'll swing back to you with more when you have more people and more voice.